Hello, welcome to Daily English Story. My name is Sapphire. I'll be your thoughtful companion on this journey of learning English and discovering new ideas together. Have you ever felt like life is against you? That no matter how hard you try, you keep failing? If so, you're not alone. One of the most famous leaders in history, Abraham Lincoln, faced failure after failure. But instead of giving up, he turned his struggles into strength and changed the future of a nation. Before we start, welcome to Daily English Story. Our goal is simple: to help you get better at English while learning useful knowledge that can change your life. We speak slowly and clearly so you can practice listening, and we share easy tips so you can improve every day. If you like this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any. Now, listen carefully and repeat after me. Try to match my pronunciation and intonation. Part 1. A cabin in the wilderness. In a cold winter morning in the year 1809, in the wild forests of Kentucky, inside a small wooden cabin, a baby boy was born. His name was Abraham Lincoln. His family was poor. They had no fine clothes, no books, no luxuries, only the strength of their hands and the hope of surviving each day. His father was a farmer, always struggling to provide food. When Abraham was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. His mother died, leaving a deep emptiness in his young heart. Most children at that time went to school, but not Abraham. In total, he had less than 1 year of formal education. Yet he was hungry for knowledge. He would walk for miles to borrow a single book. At night, after long days of work, he sat by the fire, the flames flickering across his young face, reading every page as if it were a treasure. He read the Bible. He read Aesop's fables. He read history, law, and poetry. These words became his teachers. These books shaped his mind. Part 2. Failure after failure. As Abraham grew older, he tried many paths. He split logs for fences. He worked in small shops. He even joined the militia during a local war, though he never saw much fighting. He was ambitious. He wanted to make a difference. So he tried business. His shop failed. He ran for political office. He lost. He fell in love with a young woman named Anne Rutledge, but she died before they could marry, leaving him broken-hearted and lost. At times, Lincoln sank into deep sadness. His friends worried about him, but he never stopped moving forward. He once said, "My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure." For him, every defeat was not the end. It was a lesson, a painful but powerful step towards something greater. Part 3. A voice for the people. By his late 20s, Abraham Lincoln had faced more disappointments than many people experience in a lifetime. Yet, he refused to let failure define him. He had discovered something important. He loved words, not just reading them, but speaking them. Lincoln realized that when he stood before a crowd and spoke from his heart, people listened. His voice carried honesty. His words carried weight. He studied law on his own, often borrowing thick legal books and teaching himself late into the night. Eventually, he became a lawyer, but not the kind who chased wealth. Lincoln cared more about fairness than money. He was known for his honesty, so much so that people called him Honest Abe. In the small towns of Illinois, he became respected for his storytelling and his sense of justice. He could take the most complicated idea and explain it in plain, simple words that everyone understood. This gift of communication would later become his greatest strength. Part 4. Darkness of the Soul. But behind Lincoln's tall figure and calm smile, there was pain. He often struggled with sadness. what we would today call depression. He once wrote to a friend, "I am the most miserable man living." If what I feel were equally distributed to the whole human family, there would not be one cheerful face on earth. Still, Lincoln never let the darkness win. He fought his sadness the same way he fought failure, with persistence, with humor, and with purpose. He married Mary Todd, a lively and intelligent woman, though their marriage was not always easy. They had children, and Lincoln loved them dearly, but heartbreak followed again. 2 of his sons died young, leaving him and Mary in deep grief. These personal sorrows shaped him. They made him more compassionate, more understanding of human suffering. It was as if every loss carved out more space in his heart, space for empathy, space for others' pain. Part 5. The Road to the White House. By the 1850s, America was divided. The country was arguing bitterly about slavery. Some believed it should spread to new territories. Others believed it should end. The debate grew louder, angrier, more dangerous. Lincoln, once a small-town lawyer, now stepped back into politics. He spoke out strongly against slavery, not in fiery, hateful words, but in calm, logical reasoning. He said simply that slavery was wrong, that a nation built on freedom could not survive half slave and half free. In 1860, against all odds, Abraham Lincoln, the poor boy from a log cabin, the man who had failed so many times, was elected the 16th President of the United States. But his victory did not bring peace. Instead, it pushed the nation into its greatest crisis. Southern states broke away from the Union. The Civil War had begun. Part 6. A Nation at War. The year was 1861. Abraham Lincoln had just taken office when the first shots of the Civil War rang out. The United States, a young nation full of promise, was tearing itself apart. Brother fought against brother. Towns were divided. The future was uncertain. Lincoln, inexperienced in war, carried the heaviest burden a leader could face. Every day, reports arrived of bloody battles, of lives lost. His heart grew heavier with each message. He would walk the halls of the White House at night, his tall shadow stretching across the walls, wondering if the Union could survive. But he refused to give up. He reminded the people that the nation was worth saving. He spoke of unity, of freedom, of a future where all could be equal. Though he was often criticized, though newspapers mocked him, though generals failed him, Lincoln pressed forward with quiet determination. Part 7. The Emancipation Proclamation. In the middle of the war, Lincoln made one of the boldest decisions in American history. On January 1st, 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. With a stroke of his pen, he declared that enslaved people in the rebelling states were free. It did not end slavery everywhere, but it transformed the war. It was no longer just about saving the Union. It was now about human freedom. Many people celebrated Lincoln as a hero. Others hated him even more. But Lincoln did not choose the easy path. He chose the right one. He once said, "If slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong." Those words carried the weight of his deepest belief. And though the war dragged on, the cause was now clear: freedom for all. Part 8. A tragic end, a lasting legacy. By 1865, after 4 long years of war, the Union finally stood on the edge of victory. Lincoln, tired but hopeful, gave his second inaugural address. In it, he did not call for anger or revenge. Instead, he spoke of malice toward none, with charity for all. His vision was healing, not punishment. But just days after the war ended, tragedy struck. On the evening of April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln went to a theater in Washington, D.C. A man named John Wilkes Booth, filled with hatred, shot him. The next morning, the 16th President of the United States was dead. The nation wept. People who had never met him cried as if they had lost a father. They remembered not just the leader who saved the Union, but the man who rose from poverty, endured endless failures, and still carried himself with humility, kindness, and determination. Final thoughts. The story of Abraham Lincoln is not just the story of a president. It is the story of persistence, of resilience, of never giving up, no matter how many times you fall. He was born in a cabin with nothing. He faced heartbreak, loss, and depression. He failed more times than he succeeded, and yet he kept walking forward. Lincoln once said, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." His life proved those words true. Through courage, honesty, and an unshakable belief in justice, he created a future not only for himself, but for millions of others. So when you feel discouraged, when you face failure, remember the boy with almost no schooling who became a lawyer, then a president, then a symbol of freedom. Remember Abraham Lincoln. If you enjoyed this story, please give the video a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Daily English Story for more inspiring stories that help you grow your English and your life.